All right, everybody. So I'm here with Dave Figuera, who's been getting our conference ready for the spring here, and I thought we'd get together with him and talk a little bit about what you can expect. And Dave, why don't you tell us a little bit of what to expect?
Just a brief intro about the importance of attending conferences. I attended my first conference for NYSOWA in 2008 up at Old Forge. And at the time, I met Pete Grandis, the DEC commissioner, got to know him on a first name basis. I ended up going fishing with him about a month later. Um, like, who knew that the all the dumpsters in downtown Old Forge were electrified because of bear problems? Or the fact that Old Forge is like one of the hottest snowmobiling areas in the entire state. I mean, I came back with about 5 or 6 great story ideas in my notebook, in addition to meeting all sorts of great outdoor communicators and coming up with all sorts of great stuff. And during my 14-year career at the Post Standard as an outdoors writer, I can't begin to just list all the great stories that I ended up writing that came out of these conferences and all the things I learned through the craft improvement seminars about the importance of videos, um, online journalism, blogs, on and on and on. Um, if you have any question about why you should come to this conference, give me a call afterwards or text message me because I'm really high on these things. They're great. And of course, all the friendships I made and the contacts all across the state. If I want to know what's going on in Long Island, I'll call Chris. If I want to know what's going on in Niagara, I'll call, like Billy Hiltz or up at Adirondacks, on and on and on. These contacts that you make are just so invaluable to you professionally. I'm just telling you. So
Yeah,
all that.
I'll second that. Dave. I mean, I was a member for several years before I went to a conference. I just was always intimidated, like, oh, I'm not going to know anybody, and what am I going to talk about? And but man, I went to my first one, and it happened to be the 50th anniversary, and yeah, it was great. I mean, like you said, a lot of the things that I learned, the people that I met, the gigs that I got out of it after that, and it just was so enjoyable. I've been kicking myself ever since that I never went to those first couple conferences when I first joined as a member. Like you said, it's just a great time all around, and you get a lot of opportunities.
Yeah, and I guess, just briefly going over the schedule. Well, I just got to say one thing. Yeah, briefly going over the schedule. Um, and what I've been working closely with Dan Ladd and Dan Brightwig from the Oswego Tourism Department to put this together over the last few months. And there's still some things that need to be tidied up, but in general, this is what's going down. Um, right now, I'm in communication with the DEC on. First off, the conference goes from May 30th, which is a Thursday, to June 2nd, which is a Sunday morning, and it's the weekend after Memorial Day weekend. And we're going to be, the headquarters is going to be at the Clarion Hotel and Suites, Riverfront, right in downtown Oswego, a walking distance from the Oswego Harbor. It's just a great location, and that's why we picked it. Um, what I'm thinking of Thursday afternoon is we have a meet and greet at the hotel sponsored by the Oswego County Tourism. And during that session, you're going to meet the guides who will be taking you out on the outdoor outings on Friday and Saturday morning. And what I'm hoping to do prior to that in the afternoon, for those who arrive early, is a tour of the Constantia Fish Hatchery. And that's right off of Oneida Lake. And, why there? I'll explain in a second here. That was the scene of a controversial news item about a year and a half ago where Native American individuals from the Mohawk Reservation came down and were spearing spawning walleye right next to the hatchery. And state police got involved, DEC. It was a royal mess. And it really raised the question of Native American hunting and fishing rights in this state. And although there were some tickets handed out, they ended up getting dropped. And the question is why? And so you'll get an idea of the scene, and you'll see the hatchery, which, by the way, in addition to being a walleye factory, is also the place where the DEC raises, on a smaller basis, whitefish, sturgeon, and paddlefish, which are very interesting species that rarely get written about, but they're almost, the DEC is trying to stock certain parts of the state with them. So in and of itself, that hatchery is interesting because of that. But to be there at the scene where this all went down, and then the following day, after our morning outings, in the afternoon, we've got a Zoom session with what's his name here? Peter Rubin, the new director of Indian Nation Affairs. And I also have Joe Heath from the Onondaga Nation. He's the general counsel representing, an Indian nation, to give the pros and cons and the wherewithal of Native American fishing and hunting rights in New York State, which I'm just telling you, it's a fascinating subject, and that in and of itself is a story that you could go back to your boss or whatever and write about. So you're going to see the scene where it all went down on Thursday afternoon, and then hear the pros and cons um, in the afternoon following a lunch being sponsored by the New York Crossbow Coalition, which will also give a little spiel about the state of crossbow hunting in New York State. But prior to that, in the afternoon, um, Friday morning, and this is by custom, we do this. We have morning outings Friday and Saturday morning, and basically we're arranging guided fishing trips on Lake Ontario for salmon and brown trout, or you go to Oneida Lake for walleye or bass. And if it's too windy, there's nearby lakes you can fish. There's the Salmon River. You can get, I'm trying to arrange free access to the Douglaston Run. It's not in the middle of the Salmon Run, but that's really well-known area. And you may want to just check that out and come back to it during the fall when the Salmon Run is. But basically, that's among the two top items. But I'm also arranging areas you could hike by yourself, areas you could kayak by guide yourself. Friday
Okay.
morning is the last day of turkey hunting season in New York State, so I'm arranging a turkey hunting outing for those who want to go. Um, and if the weather really is terrible, there's all sorts of museums, um, and of course the hatch up the road is the Altmar Fish Hatchery, which raises salmon and steelhead. That's another place you could tour. But the bottom line is additional stuff that Dan and I are working on in case, inclement weather, dashes some of those trips. But there'll be other offerings that we're still trying to nail. Um, and then also on Friday afternoon, following this Native American Indian Affairs thing at the hotel, Oswego Tourism has arranged for us to take party boats out to the historic lighthouse in the middle of the harbor. And while we can't take everybody at once, there's going to be someone who will be giving a update on the marine sanctuary proposal. There's a off the coast of Oswego. There's all these wrecked ships, and basically the federal government wants to make it a marine sanctuary where people can take trips out and scuba dive down and check out these things, and they want to protect that area. So just an update on that. So and then afterwards, right up practically across the street, a short distance away for dinner, there's a place called the Press Box Restaurant, and the Oneida Lake Association is going to be sponsoring a dinner there, and they're going to be giving their side of the Native American Indian issue, and also trends and what's going on with Oneida Lake from their perspective. So that's an action-packed Friday. And then we get into Saturday, and once again, morning outings, on the Big O, on the Little O, Oneida Lake, and I'll be having some alternatives to that we're still working on. And basically, lunch is going to be sponsored by the Oswego County Sportsmen's Federation, and it's going to be held at it's going to be a pizza and wings deal, but at the Leather Stocking Rod and Gun Club. And why there? This is the oldest rod and gun club in New York State. And there's going to, one of the members is going to give a brief talk about the history of the club. And also, we're also going to give the opportunity of supporting members of NYSOWA to present, their wares on tables and their products. And that's always a cool thing, You, like basically, geez, I never knew they made that or, or whatever. But that's Saturday afternoon. And then you may have some time. We may try to plug something else in there or just let people recover for a little bit back at the hotel or wherever they're staying. And of course, the big show is 6 p.m. that Saturday evening, which is the NYSOWA dinner banquet and awards presentation. That's back at the hotel, sponsored by the National Shooting Sports Foundation. And at that time, the Excellence in Craft Awards will be awarded, along with several other awards that we hand out every year. And it's always a great event. And we hope to also raffle off some items that supporting members have donated. And that all goes to the NYSOWA Scholarship Fund, all the profits made from that. And it all wraps up Sunday morning with a membership meeting. And then, you're on your own to go continue to explore Oswego County. And we'll give you a list of stuff if you don't want to just hop in your car and drive home. There's other stuff to look into, but that'll be coming. A list of all that stuff will be coming later, in a week or two. Geez, I've been talking like crazy here.
No,
You want to add anything?
this sounds exciting, Dave. I'm really I'm super excited. Just me as the marine biology background. When you had the marine preserved stuff, I'm like, marine. What are they? Why are we talking about? Because marine ocean upstate, but I didn't realize they were trying to do a marine protected area, like a sanctuary like that in the Great Lakes. That's
Yeah,
pretty
right
awesome.
off of Oswego Harbor.
I had no idea about that. So that'll be really interesting. And again, the marine biologist in me is super excited to see the hatcheries and the stuff that's going on over there. So no, this sounds awesome. And again, for those that have not gone to these conferences, you're really missing out. It's just a great time to get together with people and stories. I mean, that whole Native American side and getting both sides of that's going to be great, for content, for stories, for articles, lecturing, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah, practically everywhere in the state, that issue may or it has arisen
yeah.
in recent years.
And it's great
It's
to get both sides of the story, so that as communicators, we can get both sides of that story and put that out to the public. So I think that's awesome. Super excited about that. And I think the deadline for signing up to get the cheap rates, I believe, is next Wednesday. I believe it's on the 16th.
Well, Dan just wrote me and said, as far as booking your rooms at the discounted rate, which is going to be $154 a night, is valid through April 17th.
17th. So it's next Wednesday. So
Yeah. And I talked to Dan about this. The rooms will either have 2 queen beds or a king bed. So the bottom line is, we go 154 a night. Oh my God, you can reserve it and you team up with another outdoor rider if you're not going to bring your spouse or partner, and
yeah, that's generally what I do. I
have it.
usually share it,
Yeah.
share the, and another thing to keep in mind too. So for those of us that might have a friend who's in this communicator world, writer, photographer, lecturer, we are offering something special too for those non-members, that if they want to come to the conference and they pay their conference fees and everything, they do get a free membership, 1-year membership to NYSOWA. if
Yeah.
they're eligible. They have to be eligible to get it. But if they come up and attend our conference and pay for the registration and stuff, the members 1 year membership is included. So this is a great opportunity to maybe bring a friend with you that that writes with you, or photography or videographer, or again, there's social media. There's a lot of different avenues for us as communicators, and maybe someone who's interested in joining. And this is a great way to get them started, get them at a conference, because once you come to a conference, you're really hooked. That
And
was it for
and the
me.
point is also that it just doesn't have to be a writer, it could be someone, a videographer, a
Yeah.
photographer who's getting
I mean, I
paid.
got started as strictly a photographer. I did a
Right.
little bit of writing. I do a lot more writing now, but honestly, a lot of that writing came because I was with this group of people that were talking about writing books and this and that. I mean, when I leave, I always have like a fire under me to get
Oh,
started.
yeah.
I remember one of the first times I met you, your first book had just come out, and I remember like hearing about it, and just I went home, got excited. I'm like, all right, I'm going to start a book, and I'm working on it. I'm still probably a couple years out, But again, a lot of that is that just hearing that it can be done, and now you have someone to talk to. Like I can go to Dave and say, hey, how did you get the publisher? How did you get this? So, um,
Right,
and it's
right.
great doing that over, casually, like just maybe at the bar at the hotel, just having a drink, just kind of chatting about who's what and what you did. And it's a great way to network. And like I said, every time I leave the conference, I get excited when I come home to try to get some new, some new footage, or something out. I come out of there with just a lot of excitement. So,
Right,
um,
and you know what? It's just you can't put a price on, like, someone like your boss, or you personally wanna know, like I said, what's going on in the St. Lawrence River? What's going on in the Adirondacks now? You could go to Facebook pages and read stuff, but I tell you, it's just so valuable to have these networking, doing the contacts of
yeah,
people. Like I said, I'm not gonna go into a laundry list of stories I've done, but from these
and
conferences,
also,
but I always would come back. My boss would always say, Why are we paying you to go for this? What are you gonna get? What are you gonna bring back to us?" And I'd always say, "Story ideas."
yeah.
I mean, personally, or some new approach or whatever. And,
And
I
keep in mind too, you might, some people might say, well, I'm too new. I don't know enough about this kind of stuff. Like I'm too new of a outdoor communicator. Like, what
Right,
am I gonna, bring to the table? And you'd be shocked, because even the seasoned communicators will learn from you and get some ideas from you.
right.
So, and if you're seasoned, you might be like, well, I've been there, done this before. Well, maybe give back a little bit and try to help some of the new communicators that are coming up. And again, this is a great way to do that at these conferences, these in-person conferences.
Yeah, and the
So,
whole thing is a lot of papers are cutting back on their outdoor columns and stuff like that, and you may think, "Well, what options do I have?" Well, there's guys who are doing other stuff, and you
yeah.
just come back, like you said, charged, like, "Wow," you
Yeah.
know?
So
I
yeah, so if you haven't been to one of these conferences, you really should try to make one happen. Dave has been working hard to get this going, and it sounds super exciting. So I really hope that we can see all of our members at this conference. And again, if you have any questions, comments, you can reach out to Dave directly. You can reach out to me. We can answer any questions that you might have. But we really hope to see you this spring. This was where you said the dates again. We'll run them off again one more time. It was
May 30th to June 2nd.
June 2nd.
And
So
I just gotta emphasize 2 more things here. One is you being members, you're responsible for booking your rooms at this rate. And if you don't book your room by April 17th, you know, that doesn't mean you can't come to the conference. You have the option. You can go elsewhere. You can stay with a buddy who lives in Oswego, or, you know, try your luck at another hotel. But we set up this situation because the headquarters of the conference is going to be at this hotel. So it's really convenient for that. So once again, members are responsible to book their own rooms by April 17th, and we're going to send a link for the how to book them to an online thing. And in addition to that, there's going to be a registration form that Chris is going to attach to all his the emails about this. Um, and basically, we're asking for an additional $40 per person, and this is in addition to whatever you're going to do for room, and that covers extraneous costs, like we have like a room that we set up where people can, in the after hours get together for drinks and snacks and share stories and this and that. And that's all in the registration form.
And that's the
So
thing, that's that's cheap, between the hotel and $40. I've gone to some conferences that were way more than 40. And as you mentioned, a lot of those guides and stuff, they're donating their time to take us out. So
right.
it's not an added fee. Like if you decide to go fishing, it's not like you have to now pay a charter fee. Maybe take care of the guide who took us out, maybe a little
Yeah,
leave a
we
little
always we always recommend a tip,
leave
you
a
know.
tip, but it's not those trips. They're doing this to help to show us what their neck of the
Yeah,
woods are like. So,
and I know
um,
that people go to these conferences and they go, "Holy crap, I never knew it was such great fishing up here." And they come back afterwards.
yeah,
Charlie Whitick and his wife.
they come up quite a bit. Yeah.
Yeah, but,
So,
it's
but
like nothing else. You'll learn a lot about the area that will surprise you. This is like a fishing, hunting wonderland up here. So,
well, Dave, it sounds exciting. I hope everyone will join us up there. Again, if you guys have any questions, please reach out to myself, Dave, Dan, and we'll be happy to answer them. So, but we'll see you there.
see you guys there and ladies there.